Right. Let's get a divorce. In this situation, there's no way we can start over. But I won't be taking care of the financial troubles anymore. When I told her that, my sister laughed at me. What are you talking about? That's my line. You should just go on welfare, you poor thing. When my sister audaciously demanded a share of the property, the lawyer retorted with a sneer. You're the one who should be on welfare, aren't you? My sister was surprised by this turn of events and lost her words. Looking at the documents the lawyer placed on the table, my sister turned pale. There's no property to be divided between this couple. My name is Mandy. I'm 43 years old and currently run a company. I met my husband, Nick, when we were college students, and we have been married for 15 years now. Nick is 2 years younger than me, now 41. We have a 14-year-old daughter in her second year of middle school named Katie. And her crucial exam period is approaching next year. Nick has always been delicate and lacks decisiveness. But his hesitation over things like destinations during dates, or what menu to choose, endeared him to me. And I was drawn to him. Having a younger brother myself, at first, I saw Nick as a little brother. But I became attracted to him when he occasionally showed his manly side. When we started dating, I was already working. Our relationship went smoothly from there. Even when I was absorbed in my work and neglected him, he never complained. I couldn't have balanced work and love without him. After a long period of dating, we got married. Usually indecisive, he was firm when making important decisions and proposed to me. This contrast gave me confidence in our married life. Afterward, we were blessed with our daughter, Katie, and have led a happy family life to this day. We have never experienced major arguments or crises of separation with Nick. And we were looking forward to our second life as a couple until Katie became an adult. I thought our happy days would continue as they were. However, our peaceful daily life suddenly changed. Long time no see, Mandy. Hey, can I live here for a bit? That was my sister Hillary, coming to visit with a large suitcase. Besides a younger brother, I also have an older sister, but we have never gotten along. She would take my new toys and exchange them with her old ones, among other overbearing actions. She even took away my first boyfriend when I was in high school. I went to a different university just to get away from her, but she continued to interfere in my life. Determined to have nothing to do with her, I got my real estate license and started living independently. Nick and I decided on a photo wedding just between us after discussing it. Our parents knew about the bad relationship between me and my sister, so they kept quiet about the marriage. But somehow, my sister found out about my marriage and current residence. It was just when I was looking forward to spending time alone with my husband, as Katie was about to enter college. My sister entered the house without permission and began searching the rooms. Wow, Mandy, you live in a nice house. You even bought a detached house. Oh, there's a vacant room here. Then I'll use this room. Hey, this is troubling. What do you mean, coming here all of a sudden? How do you expect to live here when my husband and daughter are also living together? Even when I got angry, my sister ignored my words. It was a holiday, and Katie was at her cram school, Nick was out for work, leaving me alone at home. I've asked you repeatedly to leave before they come back, but my sister wouldn't listen. When Nick and Katie came home in the evening, my sister, hardly looking her 45 years, coquettishly introduced herself. Nice to meet you, I'm Hillary, Mandy's sister. Mandy, when did you marry such a handsome man? It would have been nice if you had introduced us or at least informed me. I found out by chance after seeing a photo at our parents' house. You're really secretive, aren't you? Nick knew about my sister from what I had told him, but he was a bit perplexed upon actually meeting her. However, I didn't miss something. That was Nick looking enchanted by my beautiful sister. When Katie came home, she was confused. Naturally, she would be, given that a stranger had suddenly intruded into our home. Yet, my sister aggressively pushed to stay, saying, "I got fired from my job and can't afford my rent or living expenses, so let me stay here for a while." Even when I objected, citing Katie's upcoming exams as a reason, Nick ignored me and discussed it with my sister on his own. "Actually, I heard about you from Mandy, but..." "Oh, it's fine, it's fine." Mandy was avoiding me. "So you were just going along with it, right?" Sorry about my sister. After such an exchange, my husband accepted the idea of living with my sister. This was the beginning of tumultuous days. My sister demanded money without doing any household chores, and even stole cash from my wallet at one point. This all happened within just a week of her arrival. I've warned her many times, but she doesn't listen. If you need money, at least tell me what it's for and why you need it. Don't just take it from my wallet without asking. Huh? Why should I have to report every little thing I'm buying to you? Your money is my money. My sister continued her selfish behavior. Though I hoped she would start job hunting and move out soon, there was no sign of her doing so. Moreover, the times when Nick and my sister were both absent started to concern me. Nick said he was working late, but his salary never included overtime pay. This isn't including overtime pay, is it? I think you should properly receive overtime pay if you've worked extra hours. Huh? Are you doubting me? The overtime pay is provided separately from the salary, so there's no issue. He became angry, his face turning red. Seeing Nick show anger like this was shocking to me. From that point on, I began to feel a sense of crisis in our current life. My sister was lounging around at home, leading to increasing expenses. Moreover, sometimes the amount spent on my sister was more than on things like Katie's school fees, which was frustrating. Regarding this issue, I went back to my parents' house to discuss it. My parents apologized for their lack of supervision, which led to my sister finding out about my marriage and current address. But they weren't really the ones to blame. It was my sister who had obsessively tracked down this house and intruded, driven by her attachment to a family she was distanced from. She probably started looking for our address as soon as she found our wedding photo. Her goal might have been to ruin my happiness again. And now, I began to doubt the truth behind her story of being fired from her job. Perhaps she lied to disrupt my life. If that was the case, I needed to find a way to get her out of our house as soon as possible. Hillary, even if you were fired, wouldn't you receive unemployment benefits if you were insured? When I asked her about it, she said, "Oh, I've always been a part-timer, so I wasn't enrolled in anything like that. That's why I'm in trouble." I had the option to return to my parents' house, but I can't bother them now that they're older. So, it's your responsibility as the independent sister to take care of your sibling. That's just common sense, my sister said, making an unreasonable argument. I was overwhelmed by her assertiveness and couldn't argue back. Later, it was revealed that my sister had been living a part-time lifestyle ever since dropping out of college and had never worked as a full-time employee. This fact made it clear why her job hunting was unsuccessful. Seems that her being fired was not a lie but the truth. It appears she has become desperate, thinking she might as well leech off me and take any opportunity to steal my happiness. Within 2 months of my sister moving in, I stumbled upon her and Nick in an affair. Though I had suspicions, I never imagined I would actually witness Nick in an affair with my sister. This happened on a day when my schedule suddenly cleared up, and I was killing time in a cafe. As I was relaxing with a coffee, looking outside, I happened to see Nick and my sister walking hand in hand. They were having a pleasant conversation. But it's unthinkable for a brother-in-law to be holding hands with his sister-in-law in such a manner. At that moment, I was convinced they were having an affair. When I confronted them at home later, it was revealed that Nick's claims of working overtime were lies, and that my sister had been pretending to job hunt while actually going on dates with Nick. They admitted to the affair in response to my anger and said, "Mandy has been independent and earning, so we tolerated it," but in reality, Nick's pride as a man was hurt. "We want to start a new life with Hillary, so please divorce us." And Nick presented me with divorce papers. Right. Let's get a divorce. In this situation, there's no way we can start over. But I won't be taking care of the financial troubles anymore. When I told them that, my sister laughed at me. "What are you talking about? That's my line. You should just go on welfare, you poor thing." Then Nick also said, "You take care of Katie. Do whatever you want with the rest," and the two of them left the house. A few minutes later, Katie came home and was puzzled by the unusual silence in the house. That's when I honestly told her, "Your father and I have decided to divorce." Katie was initially surprised, but soon regained her composure and accepted the new situation. After that, the divorce was finalized, and I began negotiations through a lawyer to seek compensation from the two who had an affair. When my sister audaciously demanded a share of the property, the lawyer retorted with a sneer, "You're the one who should be on welfare, aren't you?" My sister was taken aback by this sudden turn of events and was at a loss for words. That's because there was hardly any savings to speak of for my husband. Looking at the documents the lawyer placed on the table, my sister turned pale. "There's no property to be divided between this couple." As the lawyer said that, my sister looked back and forth between Nick and me. Nick also seemed surprised to learn that they had almost no property. After I witnessed Nick and my sister's affair, I confirmed that our cash savings were only about $12,000. This is an unbelievable amount for 15 years of marriage. When Nick, confused, claimed we were supposed to have more savings, my anger only grew. "You really had no interest in Katie, did you? Didn't we discuss her education expenses? When I said I would transfer the money I had saved to Katie's account, you agreed, didn't you? So, that money is now being managed by Katie. All the procedures for gift tax have been completed. I told you that." I explained calmly and plainly. Nick's complexion worsened as I continued to speak. "So, what about the breakdown of this $12,000? Most of it is from your secret savings, right?" Nick looked surprised at my statement, but I continued without concern. "Besides, you agreed to transfer the money to Katie. Remember? You signed this consent form." Nick was speechless because, having signed it himself, he couldn't deny it any longer. The lawyer also explained that since Nick agreed, that money is now Katie's, not a marital asset. Hearing this, Hillary turned pale and criticized Nick. "Hey, you said we had a lot of savings. We were supposed to live a luxurious life, but splitting $12,000 isn't much. Why didn't you realize this sooner?" Nick remained silent, unable to respond. The truth is, Nick was struggling with a low salary and student loan repayments, and had hardly contributed to the living expenses after we got married. This was after Nick told me, "It's hard for me to contribute to the living expenses. It was based on our agreement." I said, "Understood. I'll take care of the living expenses, so you focus on saving for our future." As a result, I took full responsibility for the living expenses. And Nick was supposed to save at least $700 a month. However, even after 15 years, the actual savings were less than $10,000. He was supposed to save more by not contributing to the living expenses, but seemed to have been spending secretly. When I accidentally found his bank book, I felt betrayed. though I hoped he might have savings in another account. But that slight hope was quickly dashed. However, after the divorce, such things became irrelevant. After seeing Hillary despair over the fact that there was only $12,000 to split, I decided to share another fact. I was hesitant to say this, but Nick, you're planning to quit your job, weren't you? How did you? I thought you mentioned that the overtime pay wasn't included, but actually, I was suspicious when I saw the paid leave being used up in your recent salary statement. All your paid leave has been consumed recently. Doesn't this mean you're thinking of leaving your job? It became apparent that Nick, who had hardly taken any paid leave since joining the company, recently had all his leave consumed. A behavior typically seen when someone is considering resignation. Since I began to suspect their affair, I wondered if Nick decided to quit his job thinking he would get a significant amount of money from divorcing me. It seems my suspicion was correct. Faced with Nick's overly optimistic thinking, I couldn't help but sigh. He was my former husband. Who should know what kind of work I do and how much property I have built up? Despite this, he made a very short-sighted choice of cheating and resigning. When I pointed this out, Nick blushed. The lawyer's comment to Hillary, "Welfare is more your concern, isn't it?" suggested that the two of them, being jobless and not working, would end up in such a situation. Hillary panicked but soon insisted. "Wait, if you can cover Katie's college and living expenses alone, there must be something behind it. Surely, you're hiding assets. Just reveal everything and give Nick his share," Hillary demanded. Suddenly, as if struck by an idea, Nick said, "Right, Mandy owns many real estates, so that should be divided." They suspected I was hiding real estate and demanded it be included in the property division. However, the lawyer calmly explained the facts. Before we discuss property division, let's educate ourselves a bit more. Nick, you're aware that Mandy owns real estate through her company and generates income from it, right? A corporation and an individual are separate entities. Mandy's company is her private property and is not subject to property division. Nick and Hillary were visibly disturbed by this explanation. The lawyer continued, "When we talk about property division, cars, houses, cash, and savings are common. And since Nick and Hillary have admitted to the affair, Mandy has the right to claim compensation. We're considering demanding $10,000 from Nick and $3,000 from Hillary." The moment I mentioned the amount of compensation, both of their expressions drastically changed, displaying a mix of shock and dissatisfaction. $10,000 for just a month or two of relationship? They protested as if the amount was outrageous. But I immediately dismissed their claim. Who exactly decided that is standard? You used up all your paid leave for secret meetings with my sister. And sis, you didn't job hunt but instead played around with my money, right? Considering these facts, the lawyer deemed the amount appropriate. Were you hoping to be asked for less? I could demand more if I wanted to, but you two don't have the means to pay more. Upon hearing this, they suddenly fell silent. The discussion that day didn't lead to a conclusion, and it was decided to meet again in 2 weeks. However, my sister, seemingly defiant, made an unbelievable proposal. "Give me the house and the car. Then, hand over Nick's $12,000 and we can settle the rest with $1,000. Maintaining my composure despite feeling angry, I rejected my sister's unreasonable offer. There's still a mortgage on the house, and the car was bought new just 5 years ago. Both are valuable assets, so your proposal would only result in a loss for me. I absolutely cannot accept such a deal." At that moment, Nick intervened. "You own assets worth $170 million through your company, right? I don't know if you're some real estate mogul or what. But being so petty about money when you have that much is ridiculous. Their far-fetched arguments made me burst into laughter. Their unreasonable demands and lack of realism were astonishing. After laughing and then returning to a serious demeanor, they were silenced in an instant. I addressed them calmly. Why do you two act like victims? Of course, I'm obsessed with money. My husband cheated and abandoned his family. And my sister stole him. If anyone's the victim, it's me. I deserve even more money for the sake of justice. They were stunned and taken aback. As the lawyer mentioned in our previous conversation, if they wanted to throw around legal terms, they should study up a bit more. The house was bought before we got married. It's mine no matter what. As for the car, it's in great condition since it's new, hasn't been in accidents, or had any violations, so it will sell for a good price. If you want that car, you should pay half its appraised value. That's the rule. My sister claimed the car should be part of the property division. But the lawyer had only listed the common assets included, not specifying any particular item. The only considerations for this property division should be Nick's hidden savings. And my total savings of $12,000, along with the two cars. It seemed Nick and my sister had misunderstood the situation without much thought. They were at a loss and eventually, Nick pleaded with me for money to start his new life. But I did not accept their shallow apologies or demands. Why should I support your life? You can't even pay child support, so there's no room for compromise. Seeing my firm stance, they realized any further resistance was futile and eventually signed the necessary documents. Even after the divorce and property division proceedings were over, my sister called several times, repeatedly questioning why Nick was in debt and insisting I should have been paying the living expenses. Tired of her nagging but still explaining calmly. It was clear from Nick's long-standing lack of savings that there had been significant expenditures. It was discovered he had taken out loans worth several thousands for luxury purchases, and had credit card payments ballooning due to revolving credit. When my sister accused me of pushing such a person onto her, I retorted with a half-smile. You're the one who stole him. Then I remembered something else I hadn't mentioned yet. This could be an even more shocking revelation for my sister, on top of Nick's debt issues. Nick has changed jobs to work in construction. But the company he refers to actually contracts him as a self-employed individual. Therefore, while income tax and resident tax are deducted for you, you need to manage other payments yourself. I've been self-employed for a long time, so I was covered by the national pension and national health insurance. Of course, I took care of my own matters, including resident tax. But it seems Nick hadn't paid the national pension since he changed jobs a year ago. When we were married, I handled the national health insurance payments, so there was no issue there. Due to some mix-up, a notice related to the national pension ended up at my place. I contacted Nick to get permission and then checked the contents. And it turned out to be a demand notice. I've been paying my national pension, and I thought Nick was doing the same. When I called Nick to ask if I could open the demand notice, he nearly cried, begging for help. Does the national pension cost this much? You're kidding, right? My salary can't cover this. Weren't we a family before? Help me out somehow. I cut him off sharply. What? What are you saying? Is that something the person who abandoned his wife and child can say? Again, my logic left Nick speechless. Realizing there was no way to argue, my sister, on the other end of the phone, also seemed to lose her words from despair. So, that's the situation. You guys will have to figure it out yourselves. With that, I hung up the phone. In the end, their marriage, lacking funds, did not last, and they ended up divorcing. This incident led to my sister being disowned by our parents, leaving her single and in debt. My ex-husband couldn't manage his finances and ended up declaring bankruptcy. Both my sister and ex-husband are now on welfare. In the end, their words came back to haunt them. But it's all due to their own actions, and they deserve no sympathy. Meanwhile, my daughter and I continue to live peacefully and happily together. My daughter successfully passed her high school entrance exams and has made new friends, enjoying her days. I plan to keep working hard for my daughter, supporting her in pursuing whatever she wishes to do.